The invisible war is already raging, and its next target could be your country, your home, your life. Global stability is under an unprecedented digital assault, and the consequences are far more catastrophic than you can imagine. Every minute counts. Learn how cyber warfare is fundamentally altering international relations and why immediate understanding is critical to protecting our future. For centuries, the ultimate measure of military might was the distance a projectile could travel and the damage it could inflict. Now, the deadliest weapons are those that travel at the speed of light, built not from steel, but from lines of pristine, malicious code. This is the single greatest transformation in warfare since the atomic bomb, and it's happening on your network right now. The starting gun for this new era was fired in the silence of an underground facility. This story begins in 2008, when President George W. Bush met with his successor, Barack Obama, to hand over one of the most secret and consequential projects in U.S. history, Project Olympic Games. The target, Iran's fortified uranium enrichment facility at Natanz. The goal, to halt Iran's nuclear program without firing a single missile. The weapon, Stuxnet. Stuxnet was the world's first true cyberkinetic weapon, meaning a digital attack designed to cause physical damage. This was not about stealing blueprints or draining bank accounts. It was about destruction. It was a complex operation. The digital payload, less than a megabyte in size, was planted inside the facility, likely via a compromised contractor's USB drive, a classic espionage move. Once inside, it did something ingenious. It targeted the Siemens PLCs, programmable logic controllers, that regulated the thousands of delicate centrifuges spinning uranium. The subtle sabotage, Stuxnet didn't just shut the machines down. That would have been too obvious. Instead, it was programmed to subtly and randomly manipulate the centrifuge's operations. For a short time, it would command them to spin at an unsafe speed, then slow them down, then speed them up again. Crucially, while this chaotic sequence was tearing the delicate machinery apart, Stuxnet simultaneously fed the Natanz control room monitors a continuous stream of normal data. The technicians were looking at a dashboard that read, "Everything is fine," even as their multi-million-dollar centrifuges were shaking themselves to pieces. This complex attack required not one, but 4 separate zero-day exploits, vulnerabilities unknown to the software developers themselves. When Stuxnet was finally discovered and named, it shocked the world. Experts, including the former CIA director, called it a game-changer, comparing its impact on global security to the use of the atomic bomb in 1945. It showed every rival power that their most fortified physical assets were now vulnerable to a file smaller than a photo. Once the Stuxnet blueprint was in the wild, the cyber arms race accelerated instantly. Nations realized they had to match the capability, and the focus shifted from simple hacking to total operational disruption. Establishing footholds, the new rules of the game. The early 2010s saw a clear pattern emerge. Strategic access. 2012 Chinese-backed hackers infiltrated the computer systems of over a dozen major U.S. oil and gas companies. Investigators concluded the goal wasn't theft or immediate sabotage, but to gain strategic access for future operations, planting time bombs deep inside America's energy grid that could be remotely detonated if a conflict broke out. Digital napalm. 2012 The rivalries of the physical world moved online. An Iranian hacker group deployed the Shamoon virus against Saudi Arabia's state oil company, Aramco. Shamoon wasn't designed to steal. It was a digital bomb that wiped the hard drives of tens of thousands of computers, rendering them inoperable. This was sheer, unadulterated digital destruction, a punch aimed directly at the economic heart of an enemy. The blackout, 2015 theory became terrifying reality in Ukraine. The Russian hacking group Sandworm executed the first publicly acknowledged cyber attack that resulted in a power outage. They gained control of the industrial control systems running the regional power stations and remotely shut down the electricity, plunging 250,000 Ukrainians into darkness. This was a new and undeniable precedent. A cyber weapon had successfully attacked the very lifeblood of a society. The message was clear: your lights, your heat, and your economy are now a target. How do countries acquire weapons of this sophistication? The answer lies in the murky, high-stakes world of the zero-day economy. Imagine a piece of software, your operating system, your banking app, as a heavily fortified castle. Developers build walls and lock the doors, but inevitably, they accidentally leave a tiny, unknown hole, a vulnerability. A zero-day exploit is the key to that hole. It's called a zero-day because by the time the attacker uses it, the developers have known about the vulnerability for 0 days. They are blindsided. A sophisticated hacker who finds one of these keys has 3 choices. The white market, bug bounties. They can sell the key back to the software company. E.g., Apple will pay up to $1 million for a critical iPhone exploit. Companies want to patch the hole and secure their users. The black market, criminals. They can sell it to criminals who want to steal money and data, e.g., the 2016 hack that attempted to steal $1 billion from the Bangladesh Central Bank. The gray market, governments. They can sell it to nations and militaries who want to use it as a weapon. This is where the real money is. Zero-day brokers act as dealers, fielding requests from governments willing to pay upward of $20 million for a hacking tool that gives them complete remote control over a target device. This gray market is where the world's most powerful digital weapons are bought, sold, and built. It's an arms bazaar fueling an invisible global conflict. The most dangerous thing about a digital weapon is that, unlike a missile, it's just a text file. It can be copied endlessly and transferred globally in an instant. This is what led to the terrifying chaos of 2017. In 2016, amidst a frenzy of cyber activity surrounding the U.S. presidential election, a mysterious group calling themselves the Shadow Brokers quietly appeared on the internet. They claimed to have stolen the digital arsenal of the NSA's most elite cyber warfare unit, the very group that built Stuxnet. Most people thought it was a joke until the Shadow Brokers released a password and revealed the full trove. 67 files comprising some of the most sophisticated hacking tools the U.S. government had ever created. Among them was the Jewel, a tool called Eternal Blue. Eternal Blue's power. This was an exploit that allowed hackers to break into and gain full control over the Windows operating system, the software running the majority of the world's computers. As the video describes, it was like a secret door into millions of castles simultaneously, giving the user the power to disrupt, destroy, or spy on anything inside. The NSA's highly classified, taxpayer-funded military weapon had been leaked to the entire world. The resulting digital chaos was immediate and devastating. WannaCry, May 2017, less than a month after the leak, a North Korean-linked group used Eternal Blue to deploy a worldwide ransomware attack. WannaCry locked up hundreds of thousands of computers in over 150 countries. It crippled hospital equipment, police departments, railways, and governments. The crisis was only averted when a 22-year-old researcher accidentally activated a built-in kill switch. Even so, the few hours it raged caused hundreds of millions in damage. NotPetya, June 2017. The masters of cyber warfare, Russia's Sandworm Group, then deployed the ultimate weapon, NotPetya. Using Eternal Blue to make it hyperviral, they disguised it as a ransomware attack against Ukraine, but it was designed for pure, untargeted destruction. It spread beyond Ukraine, hitting global giants like FedEx and the shipping behemoth Maersk, which saw its systems completely shut down, bringing tens of thousands of container trucks to a halt globally. NotPetya caused an estimated $10 billion in economic losses worldwide, blurring the line between a wartime act and a criminal hack, and creating a global catastrophe from a single piece of leaked American code. The escalation has not stopped. As cyber capabilities mature, we are seeing a shift from attacking the most complex systems, like nuclear plants, to weaponizing the most basic and critical forms of communication. The goal is no longer just to destroy infrastructure, but to paralyze a society during a crisis. The Lebanon pager attack, September 2024. In a terrifying example of this new strategy, the conflict between Israel and Hezbollah took a dramatic turn when Israel executed a massive, simultaneous cyber attack targeting simple, low-tech communication devices across Lebanon. The targets were not the encrypted military networks, but the thousands of pagers and walkie-talkies used by civilians, emergency medical services, local authorities, and security personnel. The attack vector, A malicious software update was pushed to these devices. The attack was designed not to steal data, but to achieve maximum, immediate kinetic chaos. The resulting damage, across the country, thousands of pagers simultaneously began to vibrate violently, flash bright lights, and emit deafening, piercing tones. The overload caused many devices to physically malfunction, bursting, exploding, or catching fire, injuring dozens of people who were holding them. The strategic impact, the true damage, was the instant and complete paralysis of the emergency response network. With their primary, trusted communications destroyed and their personnel injured, rescue services, paramedics, and fire departments were left blind and deaf in the crucial moments of escalating violence. This attack was a grim masterpiece of hybrid warfare. It used a digital weapon to inflict physical harm and achieve total operational breakdown of a civilian support system, demonstrating that no device, no matter how simple or old-fashioned, is safe from weaponization. It proved that state actors are now deploying digital weapons for mass disruption and psychological warfare, weaponizing the most basic tools of public safety. So what is the endgame? In this new world of digital conflict, the biggest threat may not be the actual attack, but the constant, unnerving possibility of one. The video suggests that the future of cyber warfare is less about the big splashy, shut down the electrical grid, doomsday scenario, and more about the death by 1,000 pokes, a psychological warfare campaign of small, frequent, and deniable attacks. The hidden submarine analogy. Right now, military and intelligence analysts believe that every major power, the US, China, Russia, Iran, has already achieved persistent presence deep inside their rivals' critical infrastructure. They aren't doing anything, but they are there. This is the deterrence paradox. Cyber power begins to resemble the chilling, delicate balance of the Cold War's nuclear forces. Think of the shadowy, hidden nuclear submarine. You don't know where it is, but you know it's floating through the ocean, capable of striking your home at any moment. Your enemy knows you have one, and you know they have one. The calculation of every international conflict must now account for those digital time bombs. They are the new deterrent, and the hope is that, like nuclear weapons, their sheer destructive potential will prevent their full-scale use. But unlike nuclear weapons, the rules of engagement are completely blurred. When an attack happens, who do you blame? How do you retaliate? What is proportional against a file of code? This ambiguity is the lifeblood of conflict for authoritarian regimes, allowing them to remain relevant and feared even as their conventional militaries falter. We now live in a world where a tiny piece of software can dictate global stability. The line between peace and total societal collapse is thinner than ever, resting on complex, hidden networks and code that is vulnerable to the highest bidder. The choice is not if the world's infrastructure is going to be attacked, but when one of those hidden time bombs is triggered. What do you think is the world's most vulnerable piece of infrastructure right now, and why? Drop your thoughts and theories in the comments section below. This conversation is critical, and we want to hear your perspective on the greatest risks facing us. If you found this deep dive into the future of war compelling, and you want to ensure we keep unpacking the complex forces shaping our world, please smash that like button to help this article and video reach a wider audience. And most importantly, if you want to stay ahead of the curve and understand the powerful, invisible wars happening beneath the surface of the internet, you absolutely must subscribe and hit the notification bell. We'll see you in the next moment of global change. Don't get caught unaware.